Hello, everyone. Sat Sangat Astrology here. I am back to talk about the Virgo cycle and specifically the Virgo New Moon. I hope you are all doing well and you are already thinking about new ideas, a new project that you will start pretty soon after this new moon. So with a balsamic moon, the moon under the sun rays and coming up to meeting the sun, we're closing the previous chapter of the Leo cycle, moon cycle, and we are getting ready to start anew. So I hope you've been brewing and thinking about what is it, the new project that you like to start in Virgo, right? So I'm here to put my little grain of sand in this pot of preparation and helping you with ideas, and I will analyze the new moon chart. So I will give you a taste of how this feels. So if you feel so inclined, you can contact me. Here's my email address in the I have been talking about the building blocks to this new moon in my dailies in Facebook, Tumblr, MeWe, Instagram. So you can read more in more detail about some of the aspects that I will talk for this new moon chart. So let me change now the share, new share. And I will share the chart for the new moon. Let me choose the full screen so you can see it really big. Okay. So here we are with another moon cycle. This cycle will be very strongly cardinal and mutable, but more cardinal and earth. It has a lot of energy on earth. So you can expect some practical changes, right? Cardinal is changes, mutable is also changes, but more on the side of adaptations, adjustments. And earth are practical things, material stuff. So it could be daily routines, it could be things that are tangible, things that you do in the tangible plane of physical life. Not so much on the spiritual, although there are aspects in this chart that indicate that those practical changes or physical changes may be due to some undercurrent of psychological and probably conditioning or unconscious or subconscious currents that are active. So first of all, as always, the conjunction of the sun and the moon are the new moon. So at this point, the moon is completely invisible. So it is hiding. Our emotions are subdued, I will say, by the energy of the sun. In just a second, I'm going to silence my phone because usually it rings when it doesn't have to. Anyway, so the new moon in Virgo, and the sign of health and healing and practical daily routines and life. So you can expect those themes to dominate the whole month, right? As usual, this time of the year. So there are some very interesting aspects of this new moon. that will slowly develop in the following days. So I advise you not to start anything before a couple of days after the new moon. So wait until you can see the light of the moon in the sky. It will give you a smile, letting you know I am here. And that is the time when you really will get the energy to get started, because for now, the moon, as I said, is subdued. So, and one of the things that are different, I would say, with my way of seeing the zodiac is that not only do I consider Mercury as the ruler of Virgo, but I also take into account the new ruler, which is for me, Chiron, right? And as these new planets were discovered, like, for example, Neptune and Uranus and Pluto and Chiron more recently, and then other planets that were out of our visibility, right, with a physical eye. We, as human beings and humanity, have been developing more awareness and more consciousness about things that are not tangible, right? Our lives have been evolving from just the physical preoccupations and practical surviving mode that humanity had lived for thousands of years. And now we are more concerned of psychological issues, right, with Pluto, or more spiritual with Neptune. And now Chiron represents our deeper hurt, the things that we perceive like wounding, and it's a kind of suffering that we bring with very deep ingrained in our soul. So I would say that because of Virgo, the sign of Virgo represents those things that are out of balance, right? Chiron really represents this out of balance energy. And if you would like to know more about Chiron precisely in Aries, I have a series in my blog that I showed you the address at the beginning, where I go over Chiron in Aries in every house of the zodiac. So it depends where Chiron is transiting presently or natally in your chart in Aries, then you can read about it in my blog and have some ideas. I also have a Facebook group. It's called Chiron's wounding healing, or something, wounded healing, or something like that. You can find it on Facebook, and I'll oftentimes I share it on my page so you can access it. So it is a private a group where you can read more about Chiron in Aries this time, and also share your experiences. So again, I consider both Mercury and Chiron as co-rulers of Virgo. However, Mercury deals with the details, the practical stuff, the things that, as I said, the daily routines and concerns of everyday life, the practical stuff. Whereas Chiron is more on the soul level, at the soul level, where those things that are not in balance in our soul. And as I said, you can read more about it in my blog. So this new moon is ruled by both, and they happen to be in opposition. Here you have Mercury in Libra, very well, very nice in Libra, with Venus, the ruler of Libra, right next to him. And there's not an exact conjunction, they're 15 degrees apart, but the fact that they're both in the Libra sign already supports Mercury very much. So Mercury is not in a very bad position in this case. Except for Venus that is squaring Pluto, making this Libra sign more intense, right? And Mercury in Libra is very, as I said, very comfortable. He likes to make deals and agreements, right? And talk about it. But in opposition to Chiron in Aries, it involves exactly the hurts of relationships, right? Because we are in the axis of me and you, right? Me is Aries and you is Libra. So in the axis of relationships. So here you will find new insights into how you relate to other people. And that is very important as well, because Mercury also, it is the ruler of the North Node in Gemini. And we will see about that. But let's first talk about Mercury in Libra, sorry. So Mercury in Libra is the master of nice communication, sweet talk, and much social chat, you know. It's a great time to soothe differences in relationships, misunderstandings, and having sweeter conversations and maybe romantic conversations as well. And it's as I said, it's a time where we have the opportunity to have a peaceful conversation and exchanges, and also reconciliatory conversations and connections, right? Maybe you find someone who you have been in conflict before, and now you have the opportunity at least to have an open conversation, because you are confronted. The opposition is kind of a confrontation, right? Or at least an encounter. So the relationships may become more harmonious if we work with them, right? Because the opposition is a challenge that requires us to do some work. So there is an opportunity to achieve an equal give and take, right? A balance between you and me. Even the willingness to make agreements and compromises and achieve a fairer dealers with people with whom you have a one-on-one relationship. So you can also choose nicer expressions, a more beautiful way to convey your ideas, and even write poetry, right? Okay, so now Mercury opposing Chiron, though, that will be an opportunity to have the other reflect to us some of our woundings. And why do I say opportunity? Is because when we are able to see ourselves on a mirror, right, we realize, oh, I have a bump here, or I have a cyst here, right? So what we are confronted is that image that the other is reflecting of us. It's not necessarily that the other is the way we see it, but oftentimes what happens is that we see on the other person what we are, not what the other person is. So the reflection can reflect our wounding, the parts of our personality with which we are not very comfortable, those vulnerabilities about, for example, our sense of independence, autonomy, or self-sufficiency. We may all of a sudden have a conversation with someone who shows us our shortcomings, right? Why I am not so independent, why I'm always dependent on someone or others, or why I am not autonomous enough or self-sufficient enough. And that other person may present an event or a situation where we feel that we need to assume responsibility or assume our part on the deal, right? Sometimes the other person shows us that we are not able to do as we wish, or that our behavior is challenged in some way, that we need to make a deal with the other person and compromise, right? And find a fair agreement. But on the other side, we may have the other person project on us their own wounding. And for example, some people may present to us feelings of not being good enough, and realizing that we understand their wounding better, their vulnerability. We now can see their vulnerability and understand their personality better. So we are, in a way, we are kind of forced to express it, to say or show our most deepest wounding or hurts. And we might face situations where the pill is difficult to swallow, right? Because some truths of pain, some pains and sufferings in the deeper in our heart are difficult to accept and digest, and much less assimilate. So that's I think the advantage of having this opposition is that we are now having that mirror, and we see it, and we are able to recognize it and do something about it. So as I said, there might be a high sensitivity to what is being said. Maybe there are bad news about the other person that touch you very deeply and it hurts, especially regarding who you think you are or who you think the other person is. A revelation, for example, oppositions are the energy of the full moon, right? So Mercury will be the full Mercury with respect to Chiron. So Mercury can speak, can say all the hurts that it has accumulated. So some people may find that knowingly they have hurt someone because of their inadequate behavior or some shortcoming, right? So oftentimes, if you are alone and if you don't have any contact, which is very unlikely, but in some cases, it could be that you are you become aware of self-deprecating discourse in your mind, your inner thinking that tells you you're not good enough, you can't do this, and things like that. So negative thinking about yourself. So and it could also be signs that the other person is confronting your limiting beliefs about your own identity. So I think this new moon is mainly about recognizing our shortcomings, and it's an opportunity to find deeper answers to healing, however shape or form it takes, this healing. So in Virgo, we're trying to find a method of healing, balm that we can put in the wound, on the wound, and help it heal. And that could be a different different methods for everyone. It depends what house of the zodiac you have Virgo on. So if it is your 7th house, then it will be your mate or your partner or your business partners, and also how you relate to other people. If it is in the 4th house, it will be something related to family members, or your house, right? Or your immediate family, and so on. So having analyzed then the energy of the ruler of this new moon, now I would like to do some quick points about this new moon and aspects, general aspects that it makes. So I think this new moon will come in 3 chapters. And why do I say this? Well, if you look at Mercury, Mercury will be retrograde at the end of September. And the shadow or the segment of the sky where Mercury will be retrograde and forward again starts at 10 degrees of Libra, roughly, with a few minutes. But so Mercury is, during this new moon, is at 10 degrees. So from now on, the whole cycle of this new moon, the whole moon cycle, will be during the time Mercury goes forward and retrograde. And then, of course, it will be by October 19, I think, it will be out of the retrograde. It will be direct. So we have a long period that this new moon will be active, because Mercury will come back over this 10 degree later on when it turns direct again. So that's what I say in 3 chapters, the 3 going forward for Mercury, going backwards, and then going forward again. So it might be that you try, for example, something new, and then you have to revise it, review it, reconsider, reassess, and then you perfect it when Mercury goes back direct. So be patient, take your time. There's no hurry to get started on things for this new moon. And even if you hurry up, you will have to come back over them. And you will also need to consider the aspects that Mercury makes as it goes direct, retrograde, and forward again, with several planets like Pluto, for example, Jupiter, Saturn, and so on. So as you see, this is not very simple new moon. It will have its little salt and pepper, I would say. Okay, so the first aspect that I will talk about for this new moon is the most exact, which is almost exact just for 2 minutes, and is the trine of the new moon with Uranus. So with this new moon, you may receive guidance, right? All of a sudden, you have an insight, an inspiration, intuitive understanding, and emotional moon clarity, a stimulation of your psychic intuition, clairvoyance. You may tap into your conditioning, your subconscious mind, especially with Mercury opposing Chiron. And those conditioned habits, patterns that may surprise, in social interactions like relationships, but it could be with your partner, with a family member, with friends. And you may have a very important emotional gratification in your relationship with friends, because both Mercury and Uranus represent, they are air, they are relate to relationships, and with friends, of course. So this is a very nice aspect, because even though Uranus is unexpected and surprising and out of the box, but in the trine, this energy flows very easily, and it could be very revealing. It could be liberating as well. So whatever you start with this new moon and the whole moon cycle could feel liberating and relieving. If you have a health problem, for example, and you decide to go on a special diet, or if you have to organize, for example, your schedule, or if you need to revise your fitness, for example, then Uranus will give you different ideas that you didn't think of before, and innovative ideas about food and food choices, or ways to exercise, for example, and achieve the fitness level that you expect to achieve. So I think that if people want to, for example, diet to lose weight, so this is very nice moment, I think, to start on a diet of any kind, either for losing weight or for any other reason, because of this stimulation from Uranus that gives you, as I said, alternatives that you didn't consider before. And you may learn as well. Mercury in Libra learns a lot, and especially learns about things that are in balance, right? So it could be a very nice learning process. Now, again, it is close by 10 degrees or so to Mars. It could be still considered a conjunction by sign, I would say. But as you see, Mars very close to the sun, it is invisible, and is not as direct. And sometimes Mars being invisible may show the more negative aspects of Mars, the more aggressive or hidden, that will act more as Mars in Scorpio, I would say, more secretive or cover, underground, subtle. It could add some passive aggression, or this stamina that comes from deep within to achieve whatever you like to achieve, especially because considering that Mars is trining Pluto, which adds this easy flowing of power and energy to your actions. So I would say Pluto adds power to your activities or whatever you decide to do, but it adds this component of secrecy and subjacent motivations that may not be so clean. So, of course, it depends on your level of consciousness as well. And it's also exact quincunx to Jupiter, which adds this need to adjust the amount of energy that we put into things, you know. So it gives you this, I would say it compels you to measure in order to not go overboard, or not too little, not too much. And if you see Venus, the ruler of Libra, and Mars are in almost exact semi-sextile, as well to Pluto and Jupiter. They have a semi-sextile, and we have this new moon. It is trining Pluto, right? By 10 degrees, but still. And then Venus is trining Jupiter. So even though there are these semi-sextiles here, that it's kind of a trapezoid, you know, and they may not see each other. Venus and Mars may not see each other. You know, it's like having someone next to you, and if you need to turn in order to see it. So this is the semi-sextile, and the same for Jupiter and Pluto. It's not that they don't relate; they do relate, because there is an aspect of 30 degrees. However, it's hard to pinpoint it, but the trines the trines that are formed inside of this trapezoid, this and this, help, I think, support the energy. So these four planets, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Pluto, are working in harmony in a way. Even though you may not realize it, it could be subconscious, you know. But I think that they are supporting this new moon. Now the new moon is opposite by 7 degrees. It's opposing Neptune, and that will be exact down the road in a few days. Well, for the moon in several hours, I would say the next day, it will oppose Neptune. So this could be either inspiring or deluded, you know, confused, unclear, especially of others. You know, you may be having the wrong impression of the other. And this, as I said, this aspect is building, is not yet there. It will be later. And for the sun, it will happen in a week exactly. So you need to be careful about other people, how you perceive other people. If not, you may be wrong about the impression that you have from others, and from any situation for that matter. It doesn't need to be one person. It could be a situation or an event, and you may make the wrong judgment or have the wrong concept about it. So be careful. You may get disillusioned by the time when the moon exactly opposes Neptune, or the sun exactly opposes Neptune. In any case, I think this new moon will give you a very powerful opportunity for transformation. As I said, Mars, your actions, and Pluto, they are trining, and I think that contributes to giving you the power. For example, if you have a health problem related to addictions, for example, drinking alcohol or using drugs or any self-undoing health problem that you are doing it yourself. And if you know that you need to avoid certain foods or substances, and you don't have the courage to give it up, for example, if you need to avoid using salt with the food, right? And it's very hard because we're used to use salt, but having Mars trining Pluto, it is a powerhouse that helps you because they are in trine, so it flows very easily. So one more word about the moon and Chiron. They are in conjunct. As you see, the moon is the fastest planet, as well as the sun. They are fastest than Chiron. So this in conjunct, or quincunx, has the 150 degrees. I wrote about it in my Facebook page and also my Tumblr, MeWe, about this. It is very interesting because this is the energy of Virgo, which makes this moon in relationship to Chiron. It makes it double Virgo, so thinking about the themes of Chiron in Aries, you will be focusing on finding solutions. On your emotions will be unsettling about something that has to do with survival. Even for humanity, it will be related to the survival of the whole humanity, right? That we are in face of the calamities that we are encountering right now. Our very existence is threatened and is at risk of losing, right? So in Chiron in Aries talks about that vulnerability of humankind. So Virgo, a new moon in Virgo, will focus on protecting our health, for example, regarding the virus, but also protecting our physical functions, right? And how we can survive in this inhospitable climate, for example, where we have floodings that are killing people, or monsoons, or earthquakes, or whatever the catastrophe is of the day, so this new moon in Virgo is urging us to focus on, hey, we need to protect our bodies, our physical existence, and how in a daily life we need to organize ourselves and put things in order, discard habits that are not good for us anymore. Even, you know, disposing, as I always say, disposing of trash where it belongs. Trash is threatening with burying us alive if we don't stop doing this. So we need to, first of all, for example, reduce our unnecessary consumption, then reducing, for example, the use of complicated packaging, where some products come in 5 different packages: the external box, the next box, then the envelope, and then whatever, paper or plastic. And there are so much trash that is unnecessary. So that's one aspect of our survival. Another thing of Chiron is the wounded warrior, right? It was in the 60s, during those lost cause wars that the United States was conducting. At that time, Chiron was in late 60s, was in Aries, and now we have another lost cause war, and we have the wounded warriors, even so wounded that they were killed in Kabul, in Afghanistan. And so Chiron is also the wounded warrior, or the defeated warrior, right? What is it that we need to do here with this new moon in Virgo in order to recover, in order to straighten the problems, the conflicts, or the things that are out of balance in another way, right? In a different way. So this in conjunction of 150 degrees with the energy of Virgo, not only it's a wake-up call for us to protect our survival, but it also can give us greater clarity on those unresolved issues, and can give us ideas, as I said, Uranus, new ideas on how to make adjustments, how to avoid those obstacles, how to change, find solutions, consider different options for the problems, right? And the decisions that we make related to this new moon can also be a blessing after those crises, right? In fact, those crises may appear later on as blessings, because we now find a new way of being. And the last point I will make is about the North Node. That is also ruled by Mercury, right? And it is conjunct Black Moon Lilith, almost exactly. So what happens here? Black Moon Lilith in Gemini is the shadow of acceptance, is the fear of rejection, and the search for acceptance and approval. Oftentimes the people with Black Moon Lilith in Gemini are either people pleasers, or they are the contrary. They fear they fear rejection. So I think that with Mercury, the ruler of this conjunction in Libra, we are looking for a deal, right? We are looking for more fairness in our social interactions. And we need to avoid gossip and talking behind the back of people and self-sabotaging and all that. It is related to the North Node. So the North Node is energizing Black Moon Lilith. So in a way that makes it more evident, more obvious. So I think that everything that Mercury is doing here in Libra with relationships, with looking for solutions to our wounding, I think Mercury plays and Chiron play a very basic, crucial role in this new moon. So I hope these ideas inspire you to find the best new decision, the best new project related to the Virgo energy, and get to work, right? Again, I am very happy to share with you these ideas to help you, guide you this next month, right? The whole moon cycle that will culminate with the opposition Sun, Moon, and Pisces. So the full moon will be in Pisces with Neptune. So we will talk more about that. And by then, Mercury will be retrograde. Don't remember exactly the degree, but it's going to be a very the whole month of healing and self-care and more attention to details and practical issues in life that we need to face and solve. So I hope you find your own answers, right? Depending on where in your natal chart is Virgo located. And if you have questions, you can always contact me and I will gladly do a reading for you and a consultation to give you some ideas. So thank you so much for watching and I wish you the best month, right? Bye-bye.